Today is good evening. Today is Thursday, January 18th of 2024. It is the monthly Board of Directors meeting from the Australian Shepherd Club of America Board of Directors. Those in attendance tonight are Rick Gann, Donna Sims, Jody McClellan, David Clayton, Linda Harden, Jan Weeson, Ann McCabe, Jillian Ward, our Executive Secretary, Calla Jaco, and myself, Susan Byrne. Thank you all for joining us. Our first topic on the agenda for this portion of the meeting is our December of 2023 Treasurer's Report that would be given by Jody McClellan, our treasurer.
Good evening. I'm going to apologize up front. I have not received any of the financials for December. We do have an AEMD that we got that has been posted, but I do not have any of the financials from the bookkeeper. There seems to be an issue that he needed clarification from our accountant on how to post something in QuickBooks, and it has to do with the loan payoff coming from the Nationals account, which isn't technically, he doesn't deal with in our books. So it's coming from an outside source, etc. He needed to clarify that with our accountant, and the accountant has not gotten back to him yet. So we have no reports at this time. I will, let me give you the account balances and a couple things to talk about, and then we can go from there. As of yesterday, the checking account is $126,870. The ASCA savings account is $25,803. The AEMD savings account is $26,189. And the ASCA Foundation account is $40,817. I've left off the change, but it's still there. So those are the balances. Our checking balance is looking pretty good. We didn't have to make a loan payment in January, so we have a little bit extra in the account, but to reiterate, the loan has been paid off as of December 31st. And there was $182.05, I believe, that they paid us that was extra and has been deposited into the checking account. So the loan is done. Let me touch on the AEMD funds real quick. For the 2023-2024 show year, we should, I'm reading my notes. I apologize. Can't read my notes. So up to now, for the 2023-2024 show year, we should have collected $49,646. As you can see from our AEMD savings, we only have $26,000 in there. That's because we made the payment to Nationals for last fall. And because of the computer issues, we've taken some of it. So technically we are short $23,457. Something to be aware of. We did transfer this month $5,692 into the AEMD savings. So that's being done monthly. I'm happy to report that payroll is now on QuickBooks. So we are no longer using ADP. Everything is on QuickBooks. The office manager said there were a couple glitches that she worked with QuickBooks to get corrected. And she said once those got taken care of, everything went very well. So she's happy it's on the new system. The only other open issue that we discussed was opening the accounts at Vanguard. I was tasked with getting the fees associated with that. To open an account at Vanguard, we need an account application. They require articles of incorporation or bylaws, and then a form for authorized people on the account. There is an annual fee of $25 for each account. And there is also a per fund fee of $25 per year. Both of those fees are potentially waived if you are a qualifying 501, and they mentioned something about if you had everything done online. So if we received our statements online, those fees would be waived. So because I'm suggesting no actual mutual fund purchases at this time, really the only fee we would have to worry about is a $25 fee per account. Our Chase accounts would be linked with each of the new accounts at Vanguard, and so money could be sent back and forth very easily. We talked about a couple of options for investments. One of them was CDs. Unfortunately, the CD rates have come down quite, well, have come down quite a bit. We're now looking at a 3-month CD at 5.05%, 6-month at 4.9%, 12-month at 4.7%. However, they have 2 money markets available. One is just a plain money market, and one is a treasury money market. They're paying 5.29 and 5.3 respectively. At this point, I think our best option is just the money market. You'll be earning 5%. It's liquid. It can move back and forth easily. From a financial standpoint, I don't see CD rates going any higher anytime soon, especially with the Fed making noise about cutting rates in the coming year. So right now, our best investment is going to be the money market. And they'll have to reevaluate throughout the year, depending on what the Fed does. If everyone agrees with those fees, you'll have to let me know. And if so, then I can proceed with opening the accounts. And that is my report. Does anybody have any questions?
Will you be able to send us all of those figures and the interest rates so that we can evaluate them? Because I know, like me, I'm sure people were trying to write them down, and I just want to make sure that we have all of our data correctly listed.
Yes, I can copy and put all of that into an email for everybody.
Thank you so much. Okay, do we have any questions for Jody on the treasurer's report? Okay, if not, could I get a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented, please?
I always, do I do that?
No, it should be somebody else.
Sorry.
I move to accept the treasurer's report. This is Jan.
I second.
That was Donna.
You guys anticipated that. It's okay. Jan has moved to accept the treasurer's report as presented. Donna has a second. Is there any further discussion or questions on this? Hearing none, I'd like to call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's report as given?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Rick
Thank you.
abstains due to there really wasn't a report.
Correct. Okay, thank you, Rick.
That's
Appreciate
true.
your report on the balances. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Okie doke, let's please move on to the next item on the agenda, which is also for Jody. Considering a retirement plan for our ASCA business office employees, our ASCA employees. Jody?
Okay, as we've kind of been discussing in the past, a lot of us believe that ASCA is a business. And as such, with most businesses out there, they provide benefits to their employees. We provide healthcare for our employees, but we have, to my knowledge, never offered a retirement plan. And I think that we should look at the possibility of offering our employees a retirement plan through the company. There are several retirement plans out there. There's going to be two that work best for our size. One of them is going to be called a simple IRA plan. It's for small businesses. The employees are allowed to participate and can contribute up to a certain amount. I believe for 2024, it's I think it's 13,500. If you're over 50, you get a bump, you get to do an additional amount. The thing about a simple IRA is that the company, the employer, also makes a contribution of up to 3% of compensation. So for an example, if we did do a simple IRA for everybody, an estimate of 3% is going to be about $8,500 that ASCA would have to contribute to the people that participate and are eligible to do so. I should back up. To be eligible for the simple, you have to have earned at least $5,000 in the previous year and expect to earn $5,000 in the coming year to be eligible. So the employer would be out or have to contribute 3%, although that number can change. I can get into the weeds if you want to, but I can just stick with this 3% is the high. And again, that's $8,500 given today's numbers. The other option is a 401k. 401ks allow the employers to contribute a significant amount greater than a simple. They can contribute up to $24,000 for 2024. And there's also a catch up if you're over 50. The thing about a 401k plan is that it has to be administered by a third party. So there are fees associated with setting something up. And then there are yearly fees for maintaining that through a third party organization. Typically a setup fee, depending on the plan size, runs anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a setup. And then depending on the company, you can look at a yearly fee of $500 to $750. The employer is not responsible for contributing anything to the plan. It's all based on what the employee wants to put in. The employer only has to pay the maintenance fees. Those are really the two options that would best suit ASCA at this time. None of them could be implemented for 2024. The simple would have to be started, get the paperwork ready by October 1st of 2024 and go into effect in 2025. And basically kind of the same thing with the 401k. So this isn't something that would happen this year. It is something that would happen in 2025. Anne?
Yes, I had two questions.
Yeah.
First, since ASCA is a nonprofit, wouldn't it technically be a 403B as opposed to a 401k for the employees?
I'm going to answer that I am not positive. Technically, I
Okay.
think you're right, but I don't know that that precludes us from opening a 401k. 403B would be the same thing though, as a
Right.
401k setup. Yes. So yes,
Yeah.
either way, it would be the
Right,
same.
but I'm wondering, since 403Bs are specifically for nonprofits and educational institutions,
Yep.
would it possibly be less maintenance fees than a 401k? I'm just totally guessing, but that's just a question.
Go ahead.
Other question is there any sort of tax or financial benefit to ASCA by providing these retirement plans to our employees?
There is a small potential tax benefit to a simple IRA. And I'm not an accountant and would not be able to give you the numbers for that, but there is a small potential with a simple, none for a 401k.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
And I'm sorry, I will find out about the 403B, because you're right, nonprofits typically go with the 403B, but they still have to be, there still has to be a third party that maintains it.
Thank
Right.
you, Jody. Thank you, Anne. That was a good question. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on this potential for investigating this benefit for our employees?
Yeah, this is David. I think the 401k would be my preference, as I don't believe ASCA is stable enough financially to contribute that amount of money to each employee.
What are you talking about?
Maybe I misunderstood. I thought the total was the 8,500, not per employee.
Yeah,
The-
that's
Well,
my understanding.
It's total then.
Correct.
That's okay. Yes, that was my understanding. That
And that's
8,500 would.
That's at the high of 3%. We wouldn't be required to do 3%, but we can do up to.
Right, it does switch. You have to make a choice each year, whether you're gonna contribute 3%, you can drop down to 1, you can drop down to 2, but you have to do 3% for, I think it's a majority of a 5-year period. So, so you can reduce it for certain years, but typically most companies stay at 3%.
Thank you, Jody, for the clarification.
I guess my question is this something that the board would like us or me to pursue to get information as something that we want to put in, as potentially put into place for the employees?
Can I ask a question? Has anyone polled the employees to inquire about, are these people going to take advantage of this? And this does not include, this is for someone on payroll. This is not for independent contractors, correct?
Correct.
So do we have a sense if the employees that qualify
I
would
have,
be interested in participating in this?
I have not polled them. That is correct.
Nor have I.
I
I've not
didn't,
mentioned this. I didn't
It's-
think that was my place to yet until we had made some kind of a decision as to what we wish to go forward and further investigation.
right.
I'm kind of on the fence, I am an employee advocate. However, I do not own this company. And I don't know yet if we're at a place where I feel comfortable working on benefits that I'm not sure yet that the employees would take advantage of. So I don't know if I said that correctly, but I would rather know if it's something that they're interested in before we spend much more time on it. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Jillian. Does anybody else have any comments on this subject? Okay, this would be my proposal. Let me find out from the employees via Sarah what the interest level might be if we were to offer this as an additional benefit for them. And I would like, based on that response, I would like to put this on the agenda for our spring meeting.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, let me investigate this further. And then depending on what I find out, I mean, if I find out that nobody is interested in participating in this potential simple IRA or the 403B or 401k, if it turns out to be the nomenclature, the contribution on their parts would be interesting to see if there's a difference in contribution level on the employee's part, whether it would be less or more on a 403B than what it would be in the 401K. And we can go from there.
Same. 403B and a 401K are the same.
Okay, thank you. So the amount that they would be able to contribute, the maximum amount would be 24 grand if they're under 50, correct?
Correct.
All right, good deal. Okay, let me find out, let me ascertain what their thoughts are and see if that's something that we need to go ahead and pursue. And then if so, we can pursue it and have greater discussion at the spring board meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okey doke. We are to number 7, to the 2024 National Specialty Budget. Jillian?
So, during the break, I sent you guys, the link on behalf of Denise. Oh, I'm sorry, on behalf of the 2024 National Committee Chair and for your review, and asked if you guys would send your comments to Cala by January 11th. We received very few comments, which is kind of a bummer from my perspective. The budget is huge. It took a long time for it to be prepared, and it's been a topic of concern from a lot of people. So even if you didn't get a chance to send comments to Cala, I hope you were able to review it and you're willing to share your comments here, because we're only as good as, you know, as we're willing to participate, and we need to give her our correct input. So now is kind of like the last ditch effort. If you have comments that you want to share with her, I think now is the time to collect everything. So you guys have read my comments, Linda's comments, Jody's comments. I didn't check today to see if there were others. If other people commented, thank you. I haven't gotten a chance to read your comments, but we need to get rolling with this as well. However, I think this is much different than the ribbon order, in that this is not something that we can just say okay to, and then we'll get to it next year. So I guess we could just go around. Susan, if you want to do it that way, or how do you want to handle it? I'm just bringing it forward on behalf of the chair.
Thank you, Jill. Yes. I'm happy to go around and ask for comments from each individual director. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Anne.
All right. First of all, I apologize for not taking the time to review the budget in detail. It's usually one of my fortes. It was hectic end of the year. I think when we had seen it before, and the comment that I made before in terms of looking at the numbers, looking at the initial budget, that it was in line with what we've had before, and based on the fact that I think we all assume we are going to have a very well attended nationals, that the items in there are not out of line, and that I would vote to approve it. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne. Jan?
I'm good with the budget. It's very detailed in what they have penciled out. I'm concerned that their flight and car rentals aren't, that they may have to come back to us, that they'll be higher. So that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Linda?
I agree with Jan, and that was part of my notes, that the car rentals have taxes and whatnot that I don't think they accounted for. And I would like to see things broken out more by venue, and I've sort of been playing with the budget on my own, moving it around to the venue tabs, without changing any numbers, but I'm not through with that yet. And Jody had some great comments also about wanting it by venue. But I think I could go ahead with it and just work on reorganizing it, if that's the right thing. Thanks.
Thank you, Linda. David?
I agree with Linda and Jody. I'd like to see things more by venue and have that tightened up a little bit. I'd be interested in seeing Linda's version if she has the ability to kind of get it sorted out quickly. But I would like to see more of that, so we know a little bit more of exactly what is going on. But overall, I think it's a good budget and a lot of hard work went into it.
Thank you, David. Jody?
So I made several comments. I don't, Linda, I hope you're working on something. I hope that we can take a look at it, because I don't see this as necessarily a budget. I see this as numbers that they hope to get without really any support on how they're going to get it on this spreadsheet. And so one of my questions was, how much was the actual event going to cost? The event, the park. One of it says 80,000. There's a grant for 40,000. So are we only paying 40,000? What happens if we don't get the grant? Are there things that we have to do with the grant? The facility, if it's only 40,000, needs to be broken out and charged to each venue. That's part of the expense. I mean, there's just a lot of things. I know that the comment is that they built in their profit, but that's not, if they did, then okay, but then break it out. Put the expense, what they're going to charge, what they project their income, so they actually show what their profit is projected to be. And yes, I hope we all think that this is going to be a great year, but what if it isn't? So we need to see some numbers. And this budget doesn't really allow us to see how those numbers are derived. And I mean, there's a lot of questions. Susan, maybe you can answer this one, but we auctioned off the centerpieces. Did we make any money on it? Is that, in 2023, that's built into the budget of getting repayment for that. But I don't, how did that go in 2023? There's a lot of questions. And I don't think that this budget is anywhere near ready to be approved, given the information that they have provided us.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, I'll hold my comments until the end. Donna?
So looking at the budget, it is broken down by venue. So like it has agility, all the agility expenses listed, all the confirmation expenses. Is there something else you guys are talking about that you're wanting? Like, I don't understand, because it is broken down in here for every venue that we have.
And it's broken by finals and nationals.
Yes, and finals and nationals are separate.
Okay, I can definitely address that. what we are hoping, and the question has been asked, we do not have a cost per arena for the stock, for agility. The cost for the facility is in one lump sum. Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and share this. The stated cost for the facility is 85,000. The amount of the grant to be received, and it is a guaranteed grant, is for a $45,000 discount, so to speak, grant to come back to us, so that the actual cost of the facility would only be the 40,000, unless it's, I may be off by 5. It may be a $40,000 grant, so the actual cost of the facility would be 45,000. I do not have the budget pulled up in front of me. So the question that's being asked is, how much does it cost per arena per day for, I don't care which venue, excuse me, competitive area you wish to request that for? How much does that building, does that arena, does that portion of the building, how much of that is a daily cost instead of being enveloped into the overall cost for the facility? I have been told when I asked this question, and I did look at the contract for the Brazos Expo, it is not broken down by specific area to be rented. So let's just think about the Brazos Expo. The West Pavilion is not given a figure per day of cost. The bigger arena that was used for cattle was not given a cost per day to be utilized. So that's the question that's being asked, and we've not been able to arrive at a certain answer for that. Linda, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just to your point about the cost of the venue, the facility for each venue, at the very least, we could, I lost the word I was looking for. The ratio, we could do a ratio of each venue based on the entries. And, yes, there's a tab for each venue, but there's also a tab for the committees. And each of those committee people should be on their venue tab. And the general expenses should be divided between the venues at whatever ratio we come up with based on the entry numbers or something to that effect.
Point well taken. Thank you. Jan?
I don't know if Donna's done, but I was just going to add that when you communicate with these facilities, they have individual prices for buildings per day, but when you contract the whole facility, you are using the whole facility every day. So I think we're being a little nitpicky. We have to have the whole facility for that event. And, you know, the number is still in the budget. Donna, are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
And I don't think anyone is disputing that it is the entire cost for the entire facility is in the budget. That's not what the question or concern is. The concern is to fairly allocate the expenses per program we would need or want, and this may be something that this board wishes to delve more deeply into. We would need the cost per arena, per building, whichever the situation may be, in order to allocate the true expenses for each of those programs. And that is not something that I've been able to glean for the past 3 years. And it certainly hasn't been for a lack of trying. So I totally understand and I agree. Thank you, guys. Exactly. Their income and expenses on each tab instead of it being linked together all in one. So basically, we would be preparing a budget for agility that would reflect the income brought in and the expenses for agility. And likewise with each and every one of the programs that we are providing activities for at the National Specialty. Rick, you're next up. Sorry that I spoke too much.
No, I feel like this Nationals budget is a double-edged sword. The boards do not receive it in enough time to really thoroughly vet it, in my opinion. And in the amount of time that we have received it, if we drag this out, then it affects the Nationals with them being able to procure, the stuff they need to do to get ready. So it's a difficult situation. You got what you got because of Laura. And I feel like Laura needs to be given a little bit of credit to get it like some of you guys would prefer, in which I have no problem with, would have to take this in-house and take care of the budget that way. But it's just, to me, it's a double-edged sword. We don't get it in enough time to really dive in and get the things that we want. And if we try to do this at this point, then we're affecting the Nationals. So I say approve it.
Thank you, Rick. Jill?
I like going last or near the end in many cases because I'm like, I agree with a lot of you guys, really probably all of you on some level. I've been in the shoes of the person that's had to create the complex Excel spreadsheet before. It's not an easy task. To get it to where we have it now has taken a lot of work. In my estimation, we do need to take the budget in-house. Once the budget is approved, it's my opinion and desire to take the budget and put it into QuickBooks. We now have someone on staff who's capable of doing that. There's a couple of us on the board that know how to do it and can work with the bookkeeper. The reason why that is important to me is so that we can have a tool to be able to monitor our spending and our income much quicker. This comment is not about anyone in particular, but we do not have the financials on the 2023 national yet. And I do not mean, I acknowledge that there are outstanding items still. However, in business, everything should be entered against the budget already, and whoever's running the organization should have access to that. And it's hard when we're all being pulled into 20 different directions, and half the people that are on the national committee for 2023, they were on it the year before, they're on it this year, they're on it next year. I mean, the poor people who are double ending it never got any rest from 2023, and now they're into 2024. So I personally believe that we can do both. I think we can maintain the ledger, take the budget and give it to our bookkeeper, and I would like to at some point get 2023 into QuickBooks, and we can use it as a nice test case, and refine it so that our reports can be spooled by venue. I'm sorry, by program. I guess it could be by venue, if you needed it to be by one location. But we need to become more sophisticated in our reporting. And we can do that. So I'm I'm also in agreement with Rick that, you know, we're danged if we do, we're danged if we don't, guys, because we're just not yet sophisticated enough. And in taking on the national a couple of years ago was a huge undertaking, and everybody is moving forward and everybody should be commended on getting it this far. We're kind of like on the 90-yard line, but we can still improve. We can still make it our reporting is what is lacking, I think. So I am not liking a lot of the numbers in there. I don't feel comfortable with them. I don't feel like in looking at it that I understand what the author is telling me. And when you're used to looking at reports, you're trained to look for those things. So there's some formulas that I don't understand. And the notes make sense to the author, but if I'm the first time reader, we need to improve on that somehow so that we're not having to ask 10 people. So anyway, I think I'm just talking in circles. I've seen it so many times. I have a million questions. One thing I'm going to leave you guys with, just as a note, the very first entry on the budget is a $1,500 starter funds from ASCA. Just for the record, that is not income. So that money, you know, that's why I'm saying if you put it into QuickBooks, an accountant, our bookkeeper is going to be able to really refine the facts for us. So we really, really actually know where we are at any one given point. So I've crammed it. We got us on payroll. I'm thrilled. The next hope and desire would be to get the budget for the national in QuickBooks. It doesn't change anything for the committee. The committee keeps doing what they're doing, but hopefully we'll, in the next year or two, give them a better tool for managing the national.
Thank you, Jill. Jody?
I just want to say one last thing in regards to kind of what Jill said. There's a lot of things that have been good into this, and we have some ideas, in particular getting it into QuickBooks, but I feel like we're becoming Congress, and we keep kicking the can down the road. And that's a big problem. And I know that it's an issue, and I know that if we don't approve it, that it might put them behind. And I understand that. But if for some reason we can agree and make a concerted effort that in the next 30 days, we completely revamp it or whatever, and it's good to go for our next one, then let's jump on it and do it. But we can't keep kicking it down the road. I mean, if we want to see some different things and we want to change it, then we have to tackle it. And that's my fear. If we don't do something about it now, because there are legitimate questions about the budget and how it's tracked. Thank you.
So
Thank you,
this is,
David.
I also kind of, I'm noticing with some of our contracts that we're approving, we're kind of approving things because of time. And that may or may not serve us in the long run. So this is just another one of those type of things. So, I do agree with Jody that, kicking the can down the road or moving it till next year, a lot of these budgets are largely based on previous budgets. They're just modified. So, once it is modified into a better format, then it should be a lot easier in the future. But the big question is when, and if it serves ASCA's best interest to keep moving forward like this.
You're absolutely correct that it is based on previous year's budgets and modified in hopes of considering everything as we change locations. That being said, Jillian, are you prepared to present? Jan, you have a question, sorry. Jan, go ahead.
I would like to see a better accounting, because I think, sorry, it's a lot of work doing the double accounting system and getting all that information in. If there was a streamlined way, I agree that that's a possibility. But all the information for 2023 is in the ledger. And any of us can go look at that ledger. And a lot of time and effort went into that product and in this current product and using those numbers. And I would like to make a motion that we accept the 2024 budget as presented.
Thank you, Jan. Is there a second?
I will second it. This is Donna.
Okay. The motion on the floor by Jan is to accept the 2024 Nationals budget as presented, seconded by Donna. Is there any further discussion? I would like to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
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 3. Okay, I missed one I have 3 nay. Are there any abstentions?
You might not have heard Donna. I was pushing the button when she said it.
Okay. I have 3 nays. And that would leave 6 ayes. In that case, the motion carries. Thank you, guys. And I do not feel that this is something we need to put to bed. I do agree that this will benefit from a more detailed presentation. And thank you guys for your candidness. Okay, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, and that would be the System Liaisons Report. David?
Okay, there we go. Yes. Okay, I talked to the chair earlier in the week, and I had other input from other people who are actively involved with this. And we have some real problems going on. One of the problems is the credit card does not really work when you're trying to do your membership reward renewal. The problem with some signatures. The Aussie Times on the phone is also a problem. And the tracking number is also a problem. In talking to the chair, they have not fully developed the scope. But we also discussed the concept of needing to move forward. To that end, she is going to get some information from Veronica on her cost per hour. So to make that a little more clear, the portal will not process credit cards. That's one of the problems. And this causes a significant hardship because that's also money for us. And it's also something for the membership that they get frustrated when they can't do this. So there are a number of things that we discussed. Veronica needs to kind of get back up to place. There are a number of fixes that have been done, but we're not sure if those fixes are going to hold. So there are 3 or 4 different areas. There's a development code, which has been done largely. There's the active development, which has largely been completed. And then there's a staging area, which is where we're currently at. And they have a number of areas ready to go in the staging area. But the concern for this is if they start going and using this and not knowing if the system can handle it, the system could break. So they want to get to production, which would be getting all these things working. So the liaison and I discussed two things. One was to get, because nothing right now is being done at all. We have moved some monies on a monthly basis towards this. The first thing to do would be go after the four main concerns and to go ahead and give her some money after we have a rate. One, to get refamiliarized with the project, and we can give her a number of hours. And then two, to work on these four main development areas, or the four main areas of concern, to get the portal back running properly and provide different avenues for the membership to utilize the portal in a better way. So what the chair and I discussed was to give her a certain amount of money to move forward based on an hourly basis, one, to familiarize herself, and then within a month that the committee would have a defined scope on these four items to move forward, and have a basic time frame that we can provide that to the board and the membership. So that's where we are.
Great, thank you so much. And then I'm believing that you and the chair, once we get an affirmation of the hourly rate that's to be incurred by the programmer, that will come back to us before
Yeah.
we, okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you so
have to
much.
Board with the amount and the time frame and the specifics. And I also talked to the other person involved in ASCA, and there were a lot of concerns about moving this forward because we're not providing the services that we really hoped, and there have been some problems with the membership. So the goal is to get it fixed as quick as possible.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, I think we'll just look for some reports on how we're able to move forward. That's at least very hopeful that we will be able to see some of these negatives rectified. I know the membership renewal portion has been a thorn in our sides and has also generated other concerns and complaints, which are very definitely recognized. And we understand, you know, that the membership is seeing these, and the inability to renew the membership, as has been in the previous portal system, has been very frustrating for all parties involved, to say the least. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or concerns for David at this point in time? Okay, very good. That brings us to the last item on our agenda. Oh, Jody, I'm sorry. Yes, you have a question?
Sorry, I just wanted to know if, I forgot her name in Europe. Sorry.
Yes, that's
Um,
okay. You can refer to her as that.
Okay, do we have a backup plan if she's not able to do anything? She's got a full-time job.
They have reached out to her, and she is willing to work on this. She was one of the original programmers who did most of the
Yep.
work on this. So she has already indicated a willingness to work with us on a part-time basis, which for the amount of funds that we actually have available is what we can afford. So we have looked into some other items as a backup plan, but in reviewing the actual work that some of the other contractors had done, they're not really suitable for this kind of work at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, David, for that clarification. Does anybody else have any questions for David on this topic? Jill?
I just, I don't actually know if David and I talked about this before, but I did have a couple of people on the committee reach out to me after our last board meeting. And I do think while there was discussion on fixed fee versus hourly, I think we really need to have a hybrid situation because onboarding somebody who is already familiar with the program is going to be the best use of our money, but you can't define someone's ability to be brought up to speed in, you can't quantify how many hours that would be. So for her to get in there and assess things, if nothing else, she'll be able to give us some very valuable insight. But it does sound like this is the appropriate person, and the committee members feel that across the board. So I think it's wise that we're supporting them. And I know that there have been some other suggestions on other people, and I don't think that's off the table, but I think the committee is very sensitive to our financial constraints as well as the desperate need to get certain things handled. So I just want to personally show my support for that decision. And I think hopefully we'll have a lot more intel once she's able to get in there for a few hours and give us some feedback.
Thank you, Jill. Rick?
So I was telling myself that I wasn't going to say anything because I think this is all a bunch of crap, to be honest with. Pardon my expression, but how long are we going to continue to deal with this issue? We have waited and waited. We have asked this individual, we need your help. She's already told us she has a full-time job. She'll be able to help us when she can. So how long are we going to do this? How long are we going to support this issue that is going nowhere? I'm sorry, I'm probably the only one that feels this way. But until we get a software engineer involved, which nobody on the committee is a software engineer, they can't go in and fix things. This just aggravates me to no end. So I guess my question to David is, how long are we going to go down this road? How long are we going to go down this path? Because it's been a good while now.
Yeah, I can answer that.
We've been away from the past company for over a year now. And don't say it's a money issue. I don't want to hear that. We have said we have money to throw at this. It is budgeted in our budget. We have yet to do that. And I like I said, I apologize to the board. I apologize to the membership, but this just infuriates me.
Okay, can I talk now? Are you done?
Go ahead.
Okay, good. This has not been the person that we're trying to contracts with issue. This has been the people who are volunteering are a guidance organization. That's what they do. Now, they did not understand how to write a basic contract with this, which I'm helping with. But you are right. This has been quite a while, and I'm sorry. But, we were in debt significantly, and you can say you don't want to hear it, but that's the honest truth. And we didn't have any money for this because ASCA was in jeopardy. Now we're going out of that, and we have a couple months where we have provided funds. Honestly, the main issue has been the committee wasn't quite sure how to move forward or what the board really was interested in and what they would be allowed to do. So I do understand your frustration. I don't disagree that there has not been action. And what I proposed this evening was an action to move forward. This doesn't have to do with the person who will be doing the work. She's on board. We just have to get her onboarded and a scope of services. And within a month, the committee is supposed to do that. Will it solve all our problems? No, but it's a start, and hopefully we can address some of the main problems and then move forward. The other portion is, if you really have other options, is to hire someone. But you're talking about $125 an hour and finding someone who is willing to do that. And probably right now, we can't afford a full-time person to be doing this. A lot of larger organizations have an in-house person. We have someone who's doing a lot of work for us and is doing everything that is possible to keep everything going. But we're just not that far along yet, and we can't afford it.
I guess, David, I know for the past several months, I've been asking, what is this individual going to charge us? I mean, does she
Yes.
not know? I mean, we've been asking.
And I said, I need this. And the person who is working on this, I said, I have to have it. So, I talked to them 2 days ago, and I'm hoping to have the answer for that next week. Now, my alternative with that is, if the person who's responsible for that has full-time job, and like everything else, they're volunteers, is to mobilize other people on the committee, have them allowed to contact that and follow up with it, so we can have that information and keep moving forward. So one way or another, we're going to get the answer you want.
Well, I'd suggest that maybe you get involved and you contact this person. I understand we're all volunteers, but this is a big issue. Their lack of moving forward is affecting 10,000 members. And I appreciate what all they've done, but this is not working. I'm sorry, it's not working. So I would love for David, since you're the liaison, to get more involved in this and take a more active role.
Yeah, I have no problem. I'll talk to the person and move forward with that. I don't have a problem.
Once again, I apologize. It's just, this is a
Well,
hot button for me, so I apologize.
Everybody needs to understand this is never going to be a quick fix. There are too many items that have to be checked, and there are too many things that can go wrong. And, they do want to do a stress test. There is an ability to do a free stress test with this. And that is one of the things that we need to move forward with. But until some other items are known that the system won't totally collapse, they can't really do the penetration test towards that. And the penetration test is something to make sure that no one can go in and basically steal all our information, steal the membership's information or other things. And, that's a critical component of this. But until we move forward a little further, we can't do that.
Thank you, David. I oftentimes refer to this as we are peeling the layers of an onion, and I think that that's exactly what we're doing. You may peel one layer and be okay, and the next one may make you cry like crazy. So thanks for your time, and please thank the committee for all of their work on this. Yes, we are all volunteers, and yes, I definitely appreciate those on the committee and you for your expertise in working toward a resolution on this situation. Okay, that will bring us to our 9th item on the agenda, and that will be last month's email business. Do I have a motion from any director to approve the business conducted over email for last month?
I move to ratify last month's email votes.
Thank you, Jan. Is there a second?
I'll second it. This is Dawn.
Thank you. All those in favor of ratifying the email business conducted during the previous month?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Any opposed? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. Very good. Motion passes. Today is Calla's birthday, so I just want to take this opportunity to tell her happy birthday. Hope you've enjoyed your day. And
Can we sing to her?
Sure, let's do
Let's
it.
do it. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday, dear Calla.
Calla.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
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 you.
you. Hey,
Thank
Excellent.
you all. Thank you.
That was terrible.
It
That
was
was-
terrible.
That was pretty bad, but I
The
think that's
worst
because
you've
all
ever
of our
gotten.
mics. Yep, all of our mics were on at once. Lesson learned. Don't ever do that again. Okay, guys, anybody wish to put forth a motion to adjourn?
This is Anne. I make a motion that we adjourn this month's Board of Directors meeting.
Thank you, Ann. Do I have a second?
Jan will second it.
Thank you, guys. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Any opposed? Thank you, guys. Any abstentions? All right, that will conclude the meeting of January 18th. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for our board members' participation and time this evening. And thank you, each and every one of you, for what you do for ASCA. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and a great weekend, and everybody stay warm and safe. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Oh my.